What's up guys, Cardfight is here, and today I will be doing an all-new deck profile on the Chronofang Tiger deck, aka the Civil War deck. Red team or the blue team, which side are you on? So basically this guy actually looks like Captain America, being blue and red, and he looks like Iron Man, being orange and red. Yeah, or yellow and red. So yeah, I don't know whether we should get this off the Civil War, but let us go on the deck profile. So, with the all-new season, this has given us an all-new archetype for Gear Chronicle, which is called the Zodiac Time Beast. I believe there will be more support in the future, and for this time around, we'll be doing the very basic, the core basic of the deck. So what this deck does is, it abuses the new, it doesn't mean abuse, it uses the, he uses bind as a new mechanic because it is really good, because Busher is trying to come up with a new idea for Gear Chronicle, and this bind is perfect because most of the time, bind happens through time leap. Because when you time leap, you're going to put a card from your field onto a bind zone to super call units from your deck. So this goes really well with the current time leap we have. So all you need to do is throw in time leap units into the deck and make a few tweaks, and the deck is ready to run. Alright, this is somehow this is still in the proto testing stage because I've been doing a lot of testing and still haven't really figured out the build. I've watched through the anime at the same episode, I think it's 28, so many times just to see how the kid actually played the deck. And yeah, they didn't really review much yet, so I actually had to come up with my own ideas and on how to make this deck. Alright, of course this deck is kind of closely resemble the anime, since his secondary Vanguard is also the Gear Eagle. Alright, and I actually came out with a build after much testing, and I could say this deck is freaking amazing because the boss monster, Bind Time Dragon, is a very good card, because basically at a cost of 3, okay, even though it writes here as a cost, you can just ignore that word if you strike over this, because at the end of the turn, at the end of the effect, you can counter charge 2 and soul charge 2, which means you gain a free soul instead. So this guy basically is a free cost crit gainer and a few wiper. So this is why this deck is really good. This guy is actually very powerful, one of the most powerful strikes for now, because it's a free cost and it does so much shit. So let's go to the deck profile and I'll explain why I make some certain card choices. First, for Chronofang Tiger. Chronofang Tiger is a very new card from GBT-07. What he does is, he's basically used mostly for his name as a Chronofang Tiger, because you want to use Chronofang's Tiger as a HUD so that you can get the free counter charge, I believe. Yeah, sorry, there's a Gear Beast here. If you can see, there is a word Gear Beast, 12 Zodiac animals. Yeah, so you want to have strike him over so that you can get this counter charge effect, making all your skills for free. Okay, what his skill is, the first one is GB2. When you perform strike, you can discard any cards from your hand and it gains +3 gate. So basically that makes it like a Blaster Deck Diablo, which means you can discard a grade 0 and it becomes a grade 3 as well. This is the reason why this deck will play less strike helpers, because you don't really need a lot of help striking, because you can top draw and just strike anyway. Second skill is, when this card enters the Vanguard circle, you may pay the cost of sending one card from your hand to the bind zone. If you do, select one card on your opponent's field and downgrade it to 2 grades. So what this means is, let's say you downgrade a grade 1, it downgrades to, so 0 and 0. So there's no unit lower than 0, so it won't be able to call any units. However, if you downgrade a grade 2, it becomes grade 0. So the opponent can actually call his starter or something, or triggers. Yeah. So what I suggest you to do is, if you downgrade, try to downgrade a grade 1 or less, because you won't be able to get a unit, and he basically minus your opponent 1. Okay, second, another thing to note is, yep, nothing much. Okay, this is important because you want to set up your bind zone so that when you use Bind Time Dragon, you can get the additionals. Let's just call it retire for now. Yeah, time rewind, additional time rewind for each card in the bind zone. So yeah, so binding yourself isn't a bad thing, because there are some cards in the deck which actually helps you with that. Alright, so very important because of the Zodiac Time Beast. Alright, give me a sec. Oh, Time Beast. Okay, I understand. The reason why he used this is because it is a Time Beast, not a Chrono Dragon. Yeah, this is Time Dragon, I believe. Chrono Beast. Yeah. So even if you ride on him, use his skill, it's gonna be free. Because it says if you control a time beast. Alright, so this is the reason. Okay, so I realized this is the reason why he plays this over whatever other dragons. Alright, so let's go on the next great trees. 4 copies of Gear Eagle. Alright, the reason why Gear Eagle is here is because first, it is a time beast, and second, it's a very good secondary backup for a great tree. Alright, this deck runs the Chrono Command engine. Chrono Command engine is really one of my favorite engines because if you see some of my previous deck profiles, I've been running the Chrono engine for a long time because it has a lot of control, and this deck is also a very heavy control based deck. Not like Herb Derp, I got OP $60, $100 card and I'm gonna own you. You know, this deck takes more skill and more control, so give your opponent a hard time playing game. Hard time, you know what I did there. Okay, so what Gear Eagle does is whenever you strike onto a Chrono Command unit, you may send 1 card back into your bottom of the deck. If you do, look at top 10 cards of the deck and select 2 units with the Time Leap ability and add it to your hand. So what this does is it gives you a +1 if you manage to hook up with 2 Time Leap units. And another skill is Time Leap skill. While this card's in a rearguard circle, when the unit attack hits, you can Time Leap one of your own rearguards. So it is very good because every time leap you do, put small card in the bind zone, which increase the power of Big Time Dragon. Sorry, a bind time dragon. Yep. So let's go on grade 2s. 4 copies of History Maker Dragon. History Maker is freaking fantastic. When this unit attacks the Vanguard, you may counter blast 1. If you do, select one other rearguard to control and time leap it. Okay, more time leap, more power for bind time, and giving you additional attacks. Because for example, let's say you have this in a rearguard attack, then your attack skill become a grade 3. I'm just using a grade 3 example. You can give you additional attacks as well. So there are many uses of him. Either additional attacks, binding stuff like him. When this card is put in bind zone from a field, you can draw 2 cards and send back 1. So that gives you a +1 as well. So many things you can do with this deck. This deck is kind of fun. Brings back the memories where I actually played the Time Leap deck instead of just the Nextages deck. Alright. Next is 3 copies of Upstream Dragon. Upstream Dragon is a 2-box of deck because it allows you to swap into a grade 1, any grade 1 of your choice. So what it does is, when this unit attacks the Vanguard, it may gain plus 4k power. So it becomes a 13k attacker. If you gain a 4k power at the end of the battle, send this guy back into your deck and super call grade 1 at rest position. So there's so many things you can do with this. First, you can either call GG if you have the additional soul to give you a +1, or you could call Melum, which is another grade 1 attacker, grade 1 card that actually has a lot of combo of the deck, because Melum can go into the Stand trigger, which if you time leap it, you gain more pluses. So Upstream is good. Now this new card from GBT-07, this common, his skill is, while in the bind zone, you can activate his skill. By Soul Blasting 1, you can call this guy to a rearguard circle from your bind zone, so it's really good because even if you bind him for your cost of bind time, you can get him back to your field, so you basically +1 back onto your field, and he gives us 2k power. And second skill is Time Leap, GB1. When this unit attack hits the Vanguard, you may Soul Charge 1 and then Time Leap one of your other units. So that's very good as well on hit. So it's a pressure card, and it gives you a +1 while you get sent to the bind zone. So most of the time you want to send him to your bind zone because you have an option to superior call this unit if you ever need attackers. Now let's go to grade 1s. I'm going to clear this up first. Alright, grade 1s. 4 copies of Melum. Melum is really good because this is a time leap deck. So if you manage to time leap your stuff, you've definitely got to get a lot of pluses, especially the Stand trigger. Stand trigger is so good in this deck. Alright, Melum is basically Upstream Dragon. When this unit attacks the Vanguard, it may gain plus 4k, which is a 11k attack power. Freaking amazing because it hits magic numbers against Vanguard. So this card alone can solo my opponent's Vanguards. After the end of the battle, send this card back into your deck and super call a grade 0, so Stand trigger, at rest position, then shuffle your deck. So this guy, she is really good because, okay, there are a few options you can fetch out. You can either fetch out the starter, which I play 2 copies of, or the Stand trigger, which allows you to +1 if you time leap it. So very good card, very good attacker as well. Next is, I don't play Perfect Guard in this deck because this deck doesn't eat a lot of Combat Blast. This guy is basically free of cost. And I play the Quintet Wall. The Quintet Wall is great because it helps you charge up the deck a lot. Let me go through its effect. What she does is, Con plus 1, look at top 5 cards of the deck, and Superior Call all those cards into your Guardian Circle to guard for you. So most of the time it's easy to get up to 25k or 30k, which is a Vanguard attack. So it's fine. Because at the cost of 1 card, you can guard a lot of stuff. So it's good as well. And we have G Guardians for the secondary, just in case if we fail. And her skill is, when you use her, when this card appears on the Guardian Circle, you may cast her skill. Send back 1 card from your drop zone, select 1 card in your drop zone and bind it. So you can bind so many cards. You can bind him, put in bind zone, to come back later on. Most important thing is when you put cards into your bind zone, you're not actually minusing this, because you put cards in bind zone, it power ups your bind time dragon. So her skill is select 1 card, put in bind zone. If you do, choose 2 cards from your drop zone and shuffle it back to your deck. So most of the time I use her. Let's say I guarded you. Oh my god, all my triggers are gone. So I can put back those triggers in the deck. So what this does is helping you check more triggers. So it's very good. Definitely, I really like her. I really like the new Quintet Walls that comes with additional effects other than just guarding. And she's SP. Very nice. Alright, let's get on the next one. The next one is this... I don't know what's his name. He is really good because his skill is whenever a card gets bind, for this turn it gains a 4k power. Yeah. So this deck definitely gonna bind a lot of stuff. Okay, those note, whenever you time it, it's considered bind. Whenever you use bind time, it's considered bind. You use Chronofang effect, it's also a bind. So this is very consistent 10k booster, and 10k booster goes well in this deck because it has 11k magic numbers. He goes up to 11k as well. It's 13k magic number. This is the only one that's not the magic number, but it's fine. So 10k booster, guaranteed 10k booster, very good. Next is 2 copies of Strike Helpers. This deck doesn't need a lot of Strike Helpers because if you write into Chronofang Tiger, his first skill you can discard at grade 0 to strike as well. So 2 is fine, and that you can search up for Chrono Jet Dragon, which is not relevant because I don't play any Chrono Jet in the deck. 1 copy of GG because if you can 2-box her if you need to. Soul Blast to draw 1 card. So yeah, Soul is actually very free because you're gonna Soul Blast 1 to Soul Charge 2. I don't know whether it's an error because it basically gives you a free Soul. So this guy actually plus you a mini plus, give you a free Soul. Alright, let's go on triggers. Triggers, we play 8 crits, 4 stands, and 4 heals. Alright, the stands skill is wherever this card gets sent to the bind zone from your field, you may pay the cost of putting this card at the bottom of the deck. If you do, look at the top 2 cards of the deck and select one of them, add it to your hand and shuffle the rest back into your deck. So basically it gives you the option to cycle your hand. So even if you have too many triggers, you can always shuffle them back. Draw 2, you might draw some cards you need to call, and you can put triggers back in your deck if you want to. Otherwise you can just put something, whatever you want. It's great because it adds cards to your hand first, then allows you to send it back. It's not like just one of those 2 cards get sent back, which might be a bummer. 2 copies of TikTok Worker. This guy is going to the ban list apparently, which I'm quite shocked because I don't know why is he getting into there. Maybe in Japan they figured out some combo to abuse. But let's go through his skill. His skill is Time Leap while it's in a Vanguard circle. While another unit attacks at the end of another attack, you may pay the cost of putting this guy into your Vanguard Soul. If you do, Time Leap that unit. So it's very simple. So it gives you additional attack. Yep, so that's good. So even if you attack with him boosted, you could put in Soul, go to Malum, come out again, and you get a +1 because it's a Time Leap deck. Let's go on to the G Zone. The MVP of deck, Bind Time Dragon. Bind Time Dragon is a freaking amazing card. At first glance, you might not seem like much. Especially I didn't know the skill yesterday, but after reading through his skill, I find him really amazing and I play tested him. His skill is GB2, Counter Blast 1 and Soul Blast 1. When this unit attacks the Vanguard, you may pay the cost. You may flip up Bind Time Dragon from your G Zone face up. So you flip up one more Bind Time Dragon. For each card in your bind zone, select one unit on your opponent's field and send it back to your bottom of the deck. So most of the time, because of Chronofang's skill, you already have one card in the bind zone already. So when you use the skill, you must select one card that you control and bind it. So let's say you have a random card you want to bind. Oh sorry, this card is better. So let's say you select a card and bind, put a bind zone. For each card in the bind zone, select one card of the opponent's field and send it back to the bottom of the deck. So basically, at the first strike, you will most likely going to be sending 2 cards back, unless you use the skill. Because when you bind this card goes onto your bind zone. He trigger his skill, go back to your deck and draw 2 cards and send back 1. So you're gonna get a +1. So this card is really good in the deck because it gives you a +1. And for each card in the bind zone, send back cards and plus 10k and 1 crit. So not only he annihilates your opponent's field, he gives you 10k 1 crit. So it might be thinking of Dragonic Blade Master Titan because it destroys stuff and gains crit. And of course, if you have Heart with a Gear Beast, Gear Eagle, or Gear Tiger. Sorry, give me a sec. So if you have hard cards of either one of these, a Gear Beast, you may counter charge 2 and soul charge 2. This skill is freaking amazing. No count blast. Basically, there's no cost for this at all, except for sending 1 bind card, I guess. So 4 copies because he's the MVP of the deck. Very good. I can't wait to see what more Gear Beasts we can get in the future. 4 copies of Chrono Command Dragon. Yeah, Chrono's Command. Yeah. I've kind of forgot what his name already. Basically, it's count blast 1. Flip a copy of yourself face up. If you do, when this unit enters the Vanguard circle, you and your opponents send back all cards to the bottom of the deck. And if you control a face-up Chronos command in your G zone, you can select 2 cards and it gains immunity. So this is very powerful. A few wipe at a cost of 1 count blast. Still good. Cards like this makes my opponent want to think twice before calling cards. So this guy is really good at controlling, especially against Paladin decks. Wrecks them for days. Next is Chronos command, because they're just to flip up and to trigger your Chronos command skill. Oh, Chronos command Revolution. Sorry, forgot. Okay, now this is the few choices you can go for the first strikes. First, if you manage to ride into Gear Eagle, go for first strike him, because you want him to face up so they can go Chronos Command Revolution to screw opponent's field up. Or you want to go for Gear Beast is fine. Very good. This deck is very flexible. 1 copy of him. If you really have nothing to send back and want to send back 1 stuff, I guess you can just strike with him. When attack hits, you can send back 1 of opponent's rear guards. 1. Yeah, of this guy. When this activate, select 1 of your units and time leap it. Basically, shove it back to your deck and it gains 1 grade. So it's basically time leap before it's cool. And for each card face up your G zone, select a unit of you get plus 3k power. So power up. And this new card from GBT-07 are rare. While this unit attacks the Vanguard, when this unit checks a grade 3, this unit gets 5k power and you can select one unit and time leap it. So check lots of grade 3s. It's something fun I want to try out, so it's quite cheap as well. K plus 5k and 1 grade 3. So basically when you attack, you can trigger. Basically, you checking a grade 3 means you gain a trigger. You see? Because grade 3 becomes a trigger. Yeah, that's how I feel. Because you gain the 5k power, so you can push. If your opponent guards, you can push harder. Alright, let's go to G zones. G Guardians. Sorry, I'm getting tired already. Alright, so much thing to explain. So much skills to explain. Damn. Alright, so G Guardians. One of the best G Guardians, Uluru. Simply amazing. When this card enters a G zone, you may select 1 trigger and 1 non-trigger and send it back to your deck. So most of the time you go send back heals and maybe a perfect guard and cycle or heals all the time. So you're going to be able to G guard it 4 times, no problem in this deck. And it gives us 5k shield. So 20k shield for such amazing ability. Totally worth it. Alright, next one is freaking amazing. This one's the new one. I got 2 SP. The new G Guardian for the Gear Chronicle. When this card enters the Guardian Circle, you may select 1 grade 1 and above rearguard you control and send it back into your deck. If you do, search your deck for 1 copy of grade 0 and call it your rearguard circle. If you do that, this unit gets a 10k shield. It's 25k shield. Freaking tanky. So basically, this is something like the screw. You do not need to play screw anymore because we have this. Basically, it's a screw. And you're not basically minusing because think about it. If you send back a grade 1... grade 1 or less, grade 1 or higher, you could potentially come back Stand Trigger, which you need for your combos next turn, or the TikTok Worker, which is very strong. So there's some options you can play the deck. So that's why I play her. Very good. Amazing. Gear Chronicles getting all the good stuff for now. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed my deck profile on my Chronofang Tiger deck. Be sure to add me on Facebook and subscribe to my channel. Okay, for now, do not add me on Facebook because my Facebook is kind of full. If you do follow me on Facebook, there's a link down below. Just follow me because I'll be updating a lot of deck profiles on GBT-07. Peace out and love you guys. Rawr.